Once again, hello everyone. This is our science teacher, Tim Martin, and in Meteorology Part 17, we'll take a look at nor'easters. Nor'easters are often referred to as winter hurricanes, strong mid-latitude cyclones that are often forming around the Carolina coast. The perfect storm, often known as the Halloween nor'easter of 1991, was a particularly strong event. This storm occurred when the remnants of a tropical storm combined with a mid-latitude cyclone. This severe storm caused the loss of the Andrea gale off the New England coast. Hollywood picked up on this and made it into a film. Well, maybe you don't want to talk about the loss of a ship, maybe just enough to have a late start or close school for a day or two. Maybe you want to have enough to make a snowman or get in a little bit of sledding action. A nor'easter is what you're looking for. Like I said, nor'easters tend to affect the southeast and mid-Atlantic states of the United States. What happens? A strong continental polar Canadian air mass descends from the northwest, mixing with a bit of the maritime tropical Gulf and a strong amount of the maritime tropical Atlantic air mass. Mixing these air masses around the North and South Carolina coast presents the perfect conditions to form a nor'easter. To make a good strong nor'easter, the low pressure will often form over the warm waters of the Gulf Stream, that warm ocean current that comes from the Gulf of Mexico along the Florida, Georgia, and Carolina coast before heading out into the North Atlantic. With larger temperature contrasts between the cold continental polar air mass and the warm air mass over the Gulf Stream, that can increase the intensity of the storm. The old-timers gave the name nor'easter because the strongest winds from the storm frequently come out of the northeast. Occasionally, we have a particularly intense nor'easter. If we see an atmospheric pressure drop of 24 millibars in 24 hours, or a millibar an hour, we refer to this as bombing out or a bomb cyclone. These are particularly strong storms. What can nor'easters do? Besides the strong winds and significant waves, we often see significant coastal erosion, particularly on the North Carolina coast. Here are a couple of images from Topsail Island after nor'easters eroded the beach in front of these condos. This weather map shows the classic setup for a nor'easter. You can see a good amount of snow over the mid-Atlantic states, the cold air mass behind, and the warm air mass even producing some rain out in eastern Massachusetts. So the typical precipitation associated with a nor'easter is similar to that of any other mid-latitude weather system. Much of the precipitation in the fall and winter does start in the form of snow. If it falls through cold air, it remains as snow. However, if it falls through a section of warm air mass, it may turn into sleet, freezing rain, or completely rain, depending on the thickness of the warm layers. So, it's very likely that we may see rain on the warm air mass side. We may see freezing rain, or sleet, or very likely snow. Much of the snow that we get here in North Carolina is due to nor'easters. Of course, if you have a particularly strong nor'easter with a fast-moving cold front, and the cold front actually catches up to the warm front, causing an occlusion, that's when the weather forecasting gets a bit tricky. Because of the position of the warm front, the incoming cold front, and the occlusion that's happening, it's very difficult to determine the thickness of the warm layer. Consequently, it's very difficult to determine what the precipitation will be on the ground. So we see in this weather map from 2014 a nor'easter developing along the South Carolina coast. We see quite a bit of rain, some snow, and some ice in between. This leads to that lovely weather forecast that those of us in the Carolinas are all too familiar with, the dreaded wintry mix. We may see snow, sleet, freezing rain, or possibly all of them in the same storm. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we'll take a look at thunderstorms. Have a great day.